Good evening, grade 8s. Tonight's lesson is going to focus on square numbers, what is a perfect square, and being able to model numbers that are perfect squares. So let's get started, shall we? So here you go. What numbers are perfect squares? I'm just going to underline that because that's our term we're going to be focusing on today. So let's just look. Here's a bunch of random numbers I wrote down. We're going to go from the top, work our way down. Okay, so let's look at number 2. Let's figure out, is 2 an example of a perfect square? Well, what we're going to do is go to our E Pearson. I've already pulled up pattern blocks here. I was playing around with it earlier. I'm going to erase these blocks. Okay, so how do we figure out if a number is a perfect square? Well, the number we're dealing with again is 2 in this first example. So what we need to do is we need to pull out 2 pattern blocks. In this case, 2. All right. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is to try and figure out how many different rectangles you can make with 2 pattern blocks. So I can connect them like this. There's one rectangle. I can move it here. That's a second rectangle. Are there any other ones? Nope. So we were able to make 2 rectangles. Okay. Were we ever able to make a perfect square using 2 pattern blocks? The answer is no. So we're going to go back here. I'm going to go in red, and I'm going to say 2 is not an example of a perfect square. Let's go to our next example, 4. Okay, so we already have 2 pattern blocks here, correct? Let's add another 2. So now we have 4 pattern blocks. What I'm going to do is make as many rectangles as possible. 1, 2. Okay, so there's one rectangle. I can also make it go this way. 1 by 4 this way. Anybody else see another pattern? I can go like this. I can go like this. Oh, look at that. This rectangle is actually a square. 4 equal sides, 4 right angles. And it's 2 by 2. So I'm going to go back here. And we'll say 4 is an example. Give it a check mark. And I'm going to say we went 2 times 2, or sorry, 2 by 2 gave us a square. All right, next example, 6. Well, let's go back to our pattern blocks. I have 4 here, so we're going to add another 2. Hey, look, there's a rectangle, not a square. So there's 2 by 3, or there's 3 by 2. There's 1 by 6. Oh, we're going to run out of space. You get the idea with the 1 by 6. Okay, is there any other ways? Can we make a perfect square? No, we can just make rectangles. So guess what? 6 would not be an example of a perfect square. 8. Well, let's go try it out. I have 6 squares. Let's add another 2. 1. So I can go 4 by 2. I could go 2 by 4. Let's see if we can make a thing here. I can go 1 by 8 or 8 by 1. And that's it. Can I rearrange these at all to make a square? And let's try. Oh, you know what? No, I cannot. Almost, but doesn't count. So 8 would not be an example of a perfect square. Let's go to 9. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Need to add another square. I'll add it right here. Hey, what do you know? We have a perfect square already. We have 3 by 3. Are there other rectangles we can make? Sure, but what we want to focus on right now is if we could make a perfect square. And in this case, with 9 blocks, we could. So let's go back here and say 9 is an example. And we were able to do it by going 3 times 3. 10. Well, let's try it. Only one way to find out. Let's try it. Add one more. Oh, that's not a rectangle. You know what I can do? We always can do the 1 by 10. I might run out of space here, but you guys will get the idea that a 1 by 10 does work. I will run out of space. Sorry about that, grade 8s. But you get the idea. 1 by 10 What about, I can go like this. I'm making it harder than it has to be, but that's okay. That happens from time to time. That we work harder, not smarter. Let me take this. All right, so I have 2 by 5, but guess what? I'm not able to make a square using 10 blocks, so 10 is not an example. 12. Well, maybe. Let's see. I'm going to add another 2. All right. Like that. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 2. That's not a square. What about, let's start adding. Oh. Nope, that's not a square. I thought we had one for a second, but it's actually a rectangle. It's 4 by 3. We had 2 by 6, 4 by 3, 3 by 4, 1 by 12. Guess what? We cannot make a square using 12. Let's try 16. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 12 there. Let's add 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, I see something here. Let's see if this works out. It might work out. Hey, it did. Look at that. Is that a square? Yeah, 4 equal sides. 4 by 4. We got right angles in each corner. So guess what? 16 is an example, and the square was 4 by 4. So let's go over this again. 4 is an example of a perfect square, 2 by 2. 9 is an example of a perfect square, 3 by 3. 16 is an example of a perfect square, 4 by 4. Is there a pattern emerging? If you had to guess, what do you think the next perfect square number would be that we would land on? I want to let you think about that. What I'm going to leave you with is one question. Your question is, what numbers between 50 and 200 are examples of perfect squares? Show to me before class at 1 p.m. Here's the deal, folks. This is actually your assessment focus question. If you hand me the answers on a piece of paper and it's correct tomorrow, you'll get your 12 out of 12 on your assessment focus, and you can spend all of math tomorrow on Mathletics. Now, if you don't submit an answer to me, that just means you're going to sit through the class with me and we'll work through it and have some fun doing it. So it's a win-win either way. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you in math tomorrow. Have an enjoyable night.